More now on our top story. House Democrats releasing more transcripts from closed-door testimony with witnesses in their impeachment investigation. Let's bring in our panel. Chris Wilson is a Republican pollster and former digital director for Ted Cruz 2016. David Burstein is the founder of Run for America and a progressive activist. What do you think, David, about these transcripts coming out? Volker and Sondland obviously were big gets for the Democrats a couple of weeks ago, but it was behind closed doors. And now you have this and questions, I guess, especially with Sondland, changing his testimony a little bit to say, well, look, this is how I saw it, but right. Still not implicating the president in wanting a quid pro quo. In fact, being quite specific that the president said he did not want that and then hung up on him.
Well, look, you know, the Republicans have asked for the transcripts and the hearings things to become public. We're now seeing more light on it. I think that's good for everybody. But it doesn't look good for the president, frankly. People changing, you know, it's never good when people are changing their stories, have to come back, add new testimony. And I think it's far from clear. Obviously, there are people who are closer to the situation. We're going to have more of these accounts. But if I were the president, today is not a good day for me looking at these things. They aren't exactly a vindication.
But, Chris, the fact remains that the aid was released, and the Democrats have said that they want to do impeachment based on this, and we have these testimony. There's going to be public hearings. Where do you see this from your perspective? You know Republican politics very well. Seems to me like the Republicans are just closing ranks behind the president, and it's going to take some sort of seismic evidence to change their mind.
Well, it is, and I don't know that I'd agree that it's not a good day for the president. I think what the partial release of transcripts probably allows him to go raise another $2 to $3 million off of this just tonight alone, and it's that's what the Democrats do. They continue to play into his game and allow him to suck them in, do things in the way that he predicts they're going to do, not release everything, and then what he's able to claim that they're not going about this in a fair and open manner, which frankly they're not.
One of the things that Sondland says, and I'm looking for, I just saw it here a second ago, but basically he says he doesn't know if the word Burisma came up in the meetings. And he's like, you know, I don't know. But that would be kind of a key question, because that Burisma is what Hunter Biden worked on. And that was what apparently the Democrats think that the president was demanding that they look into, the Bidens and Burisma in particular. But Sondland's saying he doesn't remember it coming up.
Right. Well, and it's not clear, you know, I mean, we know going back to the Comey incident, right, that situation happened and Jim Comey left with the impression that the president was using words without using the words to say, you know, lay off this investigation, right? So it's possible that the president didn't say something, but the strong implication of what's going on here, I think, is pretty clear. Look, the reality is these witnesses, as they pile up, that's going to be the challenge more than any one individual transcript. We're going to see more of these. We've got Bolton is going to testify at some point, Mulvaney now potentially, right? You know, and they'll all go in public and they'll all be transcripts, and and some of them inevitably will contradict their transcripts, and that'll be its own set of problems. But that's not, you know, if Democrats
clearly they're going to call up Rudy Giuliani. Yes, he comes up over and over again, and the State Department is saying that they knew that.
We can't all wait for that on television.
But a strong implication of some sort of wrongdoing. Is that an impeachable offense? And how will this come down since we are less than a year from Election Day? And
that's really the key point here, is that we are getting so close to Election Day, and the American public right now is looking at this saying, why don't you just let it play out? Why don't we have the election? And what it is, it boils down to a nice little soundbite, is they are trying to impeach the president over a threatened investigation that never took place, over threatened withheld aid that was never withheld. And it's really difficult to explain, if you're a Democrat strategist right now, why that is something that we should stop accomplishing anything at all in Washington and focus on impeachment whenever there are a lot of problems that could be dealt with. And it continues to drip out in a way of excerpts from the deposition, excerpts from transcripts, instead of all of it coming out at once.
Let me give you a quick last word.
You can't say we should let the voters decide when the issue at hand is, did the president tip the scales on the election? That's just not an acceptable.
That would only be the case if Joe Biden was the nominee, right? And I think at this point,
he's one of the candidates. He's absolutely one of the candidates.
All right, David and Chris, we're glad that you're here. Thank you for rolling with us on the breaking news. We have more of that breaking news coming up.